Need something?
Reinforcements! Red Templars are never happy to see us. Keep your guard up.
Decent place to camp.
Nothing to report, sir. to report, sir.
I once met a dwarf who made the best homebrewed ale.
I once met a Grey Warden who got possessed by a spirit and then blew up a chantry and killed 100 people. What makes people think you want to hear what others of your kind have done anyway?
Glad you made it. I just got here myself. My contact with the Wardens should be at the back of the cave.
A group of Wardens were protecting a villager from corpses out near Crestwood.
They were likely hunting my friend. Glad they didn't come looking for people to help in here. They might well be good men, but they've been given bad orders.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's just us. I brought the Inquisitor.
My name is Toud, and I'm at your service, Inquisitor.
I'll take all the help I can get. I know the Wardens have troubles of their own. I wonder, though, might those troubles have anything to do with Corypheus?
I fear it is so. When my friend Hawk slew Corypheus, Weishaupt was happy to put the matter to rest. But an archdemon can survive wounds that seem fatal, and I feared Corypheus might possess the same power. My investigation uncovered clues, but no proof. Then, not long after, every warden in Orlais began to hear the calling.
Maker! Why didn't you tell me?
It was a Grey Warden matter. I was bound by an oath of secrecy.
You think Corypheus is using this calling to control the Grey Wardens?
Not precisely, your worship. The calling warns a Grey Warden that his time in this world grows short.
And every Grey Warden in Orlais is hearing that right now. They think they're dying.
Yes. Likely because of Corypheus. If the Wardens fall, who will stand against the next Blight? It is our greatest fear.
So Corypheus isn't controlling them. He's bluffing them with this calling. And they're falling for it.
Is the calling they're hearing real? Or is Corypheus mimicking it somehow?
I know not. Even as a senior Warden, I had heard only the vaguest whispers of Corypheus. The Wardens believe that this calling is real, and they will act accordingly. That is all we know for certain.
You said all the Wardens are hearing the calling. Does that include you? And also you, Blackwall?
Sadly, yes. It lurks like a wolf in the shadows around a campfire. The creature that makes this music has never known the love of the Maker, but at times, I almost understand it. We must uncover what Corypheus has done and end it. This cannot stand.
I do not fear the calling. And worrying about it only gives it power. Anything Corypheus does will only strengthen my resolve.
How can Corypheus make all these Wardens hear the calling?
I cannot say. We know little about him, save that he is dangerous. He is a Magister, as well as a Darkspawn, and speaks with the voice of the Blight. That lets him affect the minds of Wardens, since we are tied to the Blight ourselves. It must be how he created this false calling.
We need the Warden's help. This is the worst possible time for such lunacy.
We are the only ones who can slay archdemons. Without us, the next Blight will consume the world. Warden Commander Clarel spoke of a blood magic ritual to prevent future Blights before we all perished. When I protested the plan as madness, my own comrades turned on me. Grey Wardens are gathering here, in the western approach. It is an ancient Tevinter ritual tower. Meet me there, and we will find answers.
I heard what he said. Hopefully we'll find some answers in the western approach. Though I fear what those answers will be. I've seen too much blood magic to ever trust where it leads.
Let's go.
We should get to the ritual tower in the western approach as soon as possible, your worship.
Clarel's the Warden Commander, right? What's she like?
She was a good warden. Once. Among those King Kalen reached out to before the Blight. She always resented missing the chance to help. When the calling came, Clarel stopped listening to the rest of us. Only magic could solve this problem, she said.
Do you think Corypheus is using the calling to control her?
It's hard to say. I have heard the whispers of the calling myself, but it's only noise, no words. Certainly no commands. Either way, the guilt is hers. She's Warden Commander. She should bow to no one's word but Weishaupt's.
Corypheus was in a Warden prison, right? So you must know something about him.
I know little, and that much only because of my relative seniority. Most Wardens have never heard of him. When I suggested Corypheus might have something to do with the calling, the Warden mages turned on me. I trained some of those Wardens myself. If I knew any more of Corypheus, I would share it, your worship.
What's it like being a Warden? I can't even imagine.
It's been a long time since I was anything else. It becomes your life, searching out Darkspawn, killing them, ensuring no one ever knows how close they are.
We'll talk later. Let's go.
Is it true that Kirkwall's Knight Commander became a statue?
Absolutely true. She's still there, bringing an extra dose of horror to get...
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Red Templars ahead.
Be cautious. They look well armed.
Let's look around.
needs help.
Should we look around?
Welcome again.
I killed the wyvern up in the cave. The body is yours if you want it.
That I do. Here, for your troubles. I hope you can make good use of it.
Well met, your worship.
I found Butcher's corpse by the South Road. Red Templars ambushed me afterwards.
Only our highest operatives knew he was coming tonight. I must inform Sister Nightingale we have a traitor.
What's happening in Crestwood?
The roads are nearly deserted. Too many undead keep rising from the lake.
I should be going.
Farewell. The Herald of Andraste. Welcome to my humble shop. Let me know if I can assist you at all, my lord.
I thought all the merchants in the area left when the undead came.
You come to vanquish them, have you not? I'm only too happy to offer you my best rates to speed your noble efforts onwards.
Some of your wares are a little expensive for a farming village.
Many lords and ladies pass through here on their way to proper cities. You'd be surprised what they sometimes forget. Wig powder, mirrors, plate armor. Sadly, less refined goods take up the bulk of my trade.
Good day to you.
Farewell.
Well met, your worship. Another time.
Law has asserted itself.
We'll see. Not much better than the road, you ask me.
If no one else will do it, someone has to step up.
We'll see. First Enchanter Vivienne wishes to register a complaint about the upholstery in the dining hall. I've already told her we cannot replace it with velvet right now. It is a little worn. And what else did Lady Forsythia say?
That she'd rather drown herself than help the Inquisition.
Anything else?
She said she'd have us flogged alive if we allied with her brother.
That does sound like her.
Cheer up, Josie. We at least have her attention.
You always do find the brighter side of things. We are in the midst of cementing an alliance with Lady Forsythia of Navarra, your worship. It's become a somewhat delicate task.
Can I do anything to help negotiations?
Thank you, but I believe I have matters in hand. I dissuaded her from sending soldiers when she learned we'd struck an accord with a brother she's feuding with. Lady Forsythia simply employs a colorful manner of speech.
Dealing with so many demanding, strong-willed people can't be easy.
It's no less intense than my days at court, Inquisitor, I assure you. But I confess I do miss my staff from the embassy in Antiva. It was always useful to discuss the day's visitors with them.
I have time, if you'd like to review things with me.
I wouldn't wish to impose.
If it were imposing, I wouldn't have offered.
Well, I admit there are a few potential alliances it would be good to discuss. Right on the parlor floor, in front of everyone at the soiree. Who does such a thing in front of their guests?
The Duke of Kellington, apparently.
And Sarah, can she not find a single overshirt without mustard stains on it? Then there's Dorian. The man refuses to take anything seriously unless it suits its whim. Not to mention... Oh goodness. Have we been here an hour already?
It went by so quickly I didn't even notice.
You're far too polite. I didn't intend to go on for so long. You must think me quite the gossip.
Spending time with such an engaging woman is never unpleasant, Lady Montilier.
Goodness. I'm glad I haven't wasted your day. Well, I've taken up quite enough of your time already. Until next time, your worship. Let's see what we have. Let us begin.
To work?
It's good to see you.
What do the people make of us?
We've gathered many favors among the nobility. They will be gently reminded of this.
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
You may see the Countess Lutetia in the halls. A lovely woman, but her conversations tend towards the unusual. She's the patron of Orlay's greatest naturalists. The Countess's particular passion is collecting butterflies.
That doesn't sound unusual.
She goes into great detail about preserving them. It seems to involve large amounts of chemicals and pins.
Your worship.
Corypheus is back. Oh, shit.
You said he was a Darkspawn or a Magister. What is he really?
I'm not sure. I don't think Corypheus really knows either. He's definitely a Darkspawn, but when we found him, it was pretty obvious he hadn't heard that. He thinks he's a Magister, a priest of Dumat, in fact. He says he broke into the Golden City, like in the Chantry tale.
If you and Hawk defeated him once, we can do it again.
We didn't just think Corypheus was dead. He was dead. No pulse, no breath, full of stab wounds. There wasn't a lot of room for doubt. It makes me wonder. I thought the Wardens imprisoned Corypheus to use him. Maybe they did it because he can't be killed.
How did you and Hawk even wind up in a Grey Warden prison for ancient Darkspawn?
Corypheus sent people after Hawk. He actually got control of an entire Carta clan. Made them drink Darkspawn blood. Weird shit. We tracked the Carta to an old dwarven fort or something in the mountains. Of course, it turned out to be a trap. They needed Hawk's blood to open the locks holding Corypheus, and they drew us into the prison to get it.
There has to be a way to defeat Corypheus. We'll find it, don't worry.
I hope you're right. Maker's breath, what have I let loose?
Brutally murdered is not really the same as unleashed upon the world, Varric.
In this case, it might be. But you've got more important things to do than listen to me worry. Just let me know when you want something shot.
Another completed work of whatever they used to call them.
Something wrong with your tea?
It is tea. I detest this stuff. But this morning, I need to shake the dreams from my mind. I may also need a favor.
You just have to ask.
One of my oldest friends has been captured by mages, forced into slavery. I heard the cry for help as I slept.
I'd be happy to help. What did these mages use to capture your friend? Blood magic?
A summoning circle, I would imagine.
I'm sorry?
My friend is a spirit of wisdom. Unlike the spirits clamoring to enter our world through the rifts, it was dwelling quite happily in the Fade. It was summoned against its will, and wants my help to gain its freedom and return to the Fade.
I thought spirits wanted to find their way into this world.
Some do, certainly. Just as many Orlesian peasants wish they could journey to exotic Rivain. But not everyone wants to go to Rivain. My friend is an explorer, seeking lost wisdom and reflecting it. It would happily discuss philosophy with you, but it had no wish to come here physically.
Do you have any idea what the mages want with your friend?
No. It knows a great deal of lore and history, but a mage could learn that simply by speaking to it in the Fade. It is possible that they seek information it does not wish to give, and intend to torture it.
All right. Let's go get your friend.
Thank you. I got a sense of my friend's location before I awoke. I'll mark it on our map.
I'm told you have Alexius researching magic for you. Research is always what made him happiest. Perhaps I'll even go talk to him eventually. One word of advice. If he suggests altering time as a way to solve all your problems, give it a pass.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. That's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Corypheus is a figure out of Tevinter history. He was a magister.
Yes, but that was a different time. The Imperium's power was at its peak then. The Civil War had ended. The Magisterium was united, its armies scooping up bits of Thedas like candy. The Magisters who entered the Black City. It was a demonstration of how exceptional Tevinter had become.
But who were they?
No one knows. There's no record of a Magister named Corypheus. All this happened 1400 years ago, before the Blight nearly wiped us out. There are no records. Today, people half believe it's all just a story. That's what I believe.
We have evidence the story is very much real.
But not who Corypheus is. If he even remembers. There used to be families who claimed some of those Magisters as their own. That stopped when the Chantry appeared. Then it was shameful. and the families distanced themselves from the tale. All we know is that some men and women entered the Black City looking for the old gods. What did they find? According to Corypheus, nothing. And only he could tell us more.
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
Strange? Why are you less qualified to rule than some tart with a fancy crown? Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
What is the Magisterium exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later. Lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soferati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically. The potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine?
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers.
They don't use lyrium.
Ha! As if there'd be any left for them. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true Divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
Ah. The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the South. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You saw that in the future, without you, Corypheus prevails. You are our bulwark against evil.
You don't seem like the religious sort, to be honest.
If you define religious as sitting in a chantry and listening to a blithering hen tell you how to live, then no. If you define it as believing in the possibility that something larger than yourself exists, then yes, by all means. The world is bigger than I, even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe, but I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion, too. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. And most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what? 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And? Did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
You think slaves like it that way? Don't be ridiculous.
I didn't say they like it. It's all most of them know. In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
Is that what you call it? Treated poorly?
Abuse heaped upon those without power isn't limited to Tevinter, my friend. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
Some more than others.
Some people have superior taste. Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
It just seems... so much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care deeply about everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
What do you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters, I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some Magisters would disagree, but that's why we kill them.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
I should go.
As you wish.
It doesn't surprise me you found the Wardens mixed up in all this. From first-hand experience, you should be wary any time my old order is involved.
I trust everything is well with the mages.
There have been a few scuffles with your Templars, but overall, it is going well.
I'll leave you to it.
Your open support for the mages likely earned you enemies. Our agents will monitor the situation. If the most opposed can be identified, we may still turn this to our advantage.
People can hate me if they wish.
That gets us nowhere. The Inquisition is young. We need to build our support. Regardless, I applaud you for the courage to stand up for the mages.
The Divine's death hit you hard. How have you been feeling?
Oh, you are referring to my outburst in the Haven. I am much better now. She was a good friend, and it will take time to get used to her absence. But thank you for asking. It is appreciated.
Anything I should know?
It seems that the Orlesian army is awaiting our next move. Some of the generals are sympathetic to our cause, others are still suspicious. Our actions are under a great deal of scrutiny.
I'll leave you to your work. Vivienne.
My dear Inquisitor, whatever can I do for you?
Why did I find movers changing all my furniture?
I'm sure I don't know, darling. Perhaps your old furniture was full of lice and fleas.
If this amuses you, go right ahead. I'll fix it all later.
Oh yes, fixing things is certainly your strong suit, isn't it, dear? Setting malcontents loose among the population with no safeguards to stop them should they turn into abominations. Very wise. I rearranged some furniture. Lives are not thrown into jeopardy by this. Perhaps a little perspective is wanted here.
What are you playing at? What was the point of this little prank?
I merely wanted to see what you'd do. You are the current leader of the Inquisition. It's good to know your limits. And now I do. Be a dear and run along now, Inquisitor. I have so much to attend to. Off to another crisis, my dear. It has taken its toll on you.
How can you possibly oppose freedom for your own people?
I understand it can be hard to grasp, living sheltered within the tower and unaware of the outside world. Resenting the tower walls, the Templars, the rules that keep us separate from everyone else. All mages live lives of limited possibilities. We are denied fairness due to an accident of birth. But no one said that life was fair. The world is not made up of mages and Templars or circles and chantries. There is no us and no them. There are only people. People who must share a world which is not portioned equally among all. My own people want a larger share of the world, uncaring that they have already been granted great power.
That's not their fault. They can't help what they are.
Wolves cannot live peacefully among sheep, no matter how much they regret being wolves. The wolves howl and claw at the fences that hold them back. Take pity and you let them loose among the lambs. And what do the sheep do? Panic, and the scent of their fear drives the wolves to attack.
It will take time, but people can learn not to fear magic.
One cannot unlearn a primal fear. Like fire or heights, it is not about prejudice. It is about survival. I care for the witch hunts that will come. I care for the angry mobs who string up mages on gibbets for the vultures. I care that my stupid brethren will kill and be killed by frightened people defending their families from monsters. I will stand in opposition to that, whatever you may do.
Inquisitor.
I can keep staring at this, but I won't get any closer.
Something I can help you with?
Yes. Possibly. We saw so many Red Templars at the assault on Haven. Perhaps all that was left of the Order. What we didn't see was Lord Seeker Lucius. Indeed, I've seen no hint of any Seekers amongst the Red Templars, or anywhere. I have a growing suspicion Corypheus has imprisoned them.
Why imprisoned? He could just as easily have killed them.
Not easily. But yes, they may be dead. But the Seekers began this war against the mages. They cannot have simply vanished. There must be a trail we can follow, yet so far I have only discovered hints.
But they could have ended up just like the Red Templars.
Seekers do not use lyrium. I assume Corypheus gained control of the Templars by corrupting the lyrium they were already taking. To do the same to a Seeker, you'd have to force the lyrium upon him. That may be what happened, but it couldn't have begun that way. We're missing a piece of the puzzle, Inquisitor. I need to find it.
Finding them obviously means a lot to you.
I left the Order, but I can never abandon them. I cannot even claim that rescuing them would be beneficial. They wouldn't look kindly on the Inquisition. But even so, if there's a chance... If we can spare resources to follow up on these leads, Inquisitor, I would appreciate it.
Can you arrange what we discussed earlier, Ambassador?
I found the money. The Inquisition will compensate the families of those we lost at Haven.
Thank you.
Let us begin.
Inquisitor.
I understand if resources cannot be spared to help search for the missing Seekers, Inquisitor. Still, it could involve a threat we are unaware of. There may be a use in looking.
Can you tell me more about the Seekers?
The Seekers of Truth were born from the original Inquisition long ago, when it united with the Chantry. Seekers stood above the Templars, watching over them but also investigating magical events they couldn't handle. We were meant to be incorruptible, above reproach. How seldom does reality match the ideal?
But what are Seekers exactly?
Those who know anything of us think we are Templars. We do not use lyrium, however. Our abilities are different, as was our original purpose. We disciplined the Templars and were accountable only to the Divine. And not even her, truthfully.
So the Seekers commanded the Templars?
No. The Order didn't assume command until after the rebellion. The Templars have always feared us. When a Seeker arrived at a circle, they knew trouble was afoot. That kind of power is troubling. You begin to think you are the only one who can solve the world's problems. If you don't see a problem, it doesn't exist. If someone insists it does, they are the blind ones.
Do you think that kind of problem could ever be fixed?
Possibly. Though the Seekers themselves would need to change. They were clearly not willing to, even though they abandoned everything they stood for to avoid it. In my heart, I believe they can still be salvaged, but not by their own hands.
You mentioned that Seekers have different abilities than Templars.
Entirely. A Templar's abilities come from lyrium and are designed to hunt mages. Ours come from ritual and many years of dedicated training. We cannot be possessed by demons and are immune to mind control. Useful, considering our role. Seekers can gain other gifts, though that depends on the individual.
What kind of gifts do you have?
I can set the lyrium within a person's blood aflame. Both mages and Templars bend before my will. Some Seekers use it to interrogate. Others simply to paralyze. Once there was a Seeker who could use it to kill. That particular gift is considered rare.
How does someone become a Seeker?
Most Seekers begin training in their youth. I was much older, an exception due to my noble birth. We train rigorously for years. Our bodies and minds must be elastic to undergo the vigil, and most fail even then.
Is the vigil some kind of initiation?
It is the rite every Seeker must go through in order to summon their gifts. A full year of fasting, prayer, and separation from all distractions, including other people. We empty ourselves of all emotion, focusing only on the purity of our devotion. And the moment it finally ends, it's wonderful. Faith realized. I cannot put it into words.
I wish I could experience that.
If the vigil was not so arduous, I'd say more should attempt it. What if mages never needed to fear possession by demons? I'm told it is impossible, however. I suppose I'll never know the truth of it now.
Why did your order turn against the Chantry?
We originally united with the Chantry through a treaty that stated they would keep mages under control. It was felt Most Holy had tacitly allowed the Circle of Magi to vote on its independence, thus breaking the treaty. The Seekers saw themselves as justified, and they led the Templars into a war of righteousness.
You sound like you disagree.
We knew what was happening at Kirkwall, where the Mage Rebellion began. We looked into reports of Knight Commander Meredith's harsh treatment of her charges years earlier. But we found so many shocking cases of magical corruption, it was decided her actions were justified. If we'd been there when it happened, if we'd looked harder at the root causes,
You're right. Something should have been done.
When faced with a problem, the Seekers would close ranks and crush it. We would find an answer, but only once we felt we weren't being coerced. The moment the mages voted for independence, our response was predictable. It was difficult to watch.
I've no more questions.
From Haven's fire come we, the able true. To Skyhold now, a fortress strong and free. We rally with our hero born anew. Inquisitor, there's none as brave as he. Start, except... No, it needs work.
Are you sure? Maker, I hope it's not me.
Inquisitor. A title hard to rhyme. A challenge for another day, I think. Forgive me my distractions, Eminence. I'm overwhelmed by you and what you've done. My name is Meriden, a humble bard.
Are you a bard like those of Orlais?
Oh, heavens no. I'm a minstrel first. My weapon is a cutting tongue, not blades. I hope my skills will help in some small way, if only I can give your deeds their due.
What do you bring to the Inquisition?
A simple thing that you know well. The power of a muse to rally hearts and minds. Inquisitor, I want to spread the word of what you've done. A small but vital role. Perhaps I'll also make a coin or two.
Carry on then.
Oh, I will do my best, Inquisitor.
Inquisitor. That's got a good ring to it. We're happy to be here, your worship. You need anything, let me know.
Iron Bull said the charges were at my disposal. Do you have any suggestions on how to use them?
I suspect Haven's quiet by now. Might be worth sending the boys back. We could recover some supplies, get an idea about the enemy's strength. We could even pick up any stragglers who haven't found Skyhold yet.
We'll talk later.
What can I do for you?
So how did you get the name Iron Bull?
I picked it. We don't have names under the cube. Just, I don't know. Job descriptions, I guess. When I came to Orlais, I chose the Iron Bull for myself.
Why specifically Iron Bull?
This may surprise you, but I really like hitting things. Also, it's the Iron Bull, technically. I like having an article at the front. It makes it sound like I'm not even a person, just a mindless weapon. An implement of destruction. That really works for me.
I'd like to know more about the Qunari.
You writing a book?
What I've heard about them sounds fascinating.
What you've heard was mostly horse shit. All right. What do you want to know?
How do the Qunari rule themselves?
It's pretty simple. We've got the matriarchy, the priesthood, and the military. The priesthood figures out how Qunari should live in theory. The matriarchy makes it work in practice. And the military keeps the Qunari safe from outside threats.
Does it actually work like that? Is there much infighting?
Not like you're thinking of. People disagree, yeah, but the priests are there to solve disagreements. Here in Orlais, politicking comes from people putting their own gain ahead of the gains of society. If you do that among the Qunari, the Ben Hasrath set you straight. Or kill you.
I heard there's no marriage among the Qunari.
Yeah, that's true. Qunari love our friends like anyone does, but we don't have sex with them.
Qunari don't have sex?
Oh, we definitely have sex. They're Tamasrans who pop your cork whenever you need it.
Seriously?
Yes. It's not a big deal like it is here. It's like I don't know. Going to see a healer. Sometimes it's this long, involved thing. It takes all day. Leaves you walking funny. Other times you're in and out in 5 minutes. Thank you. See you next week.
Sometimes I think I understand how different the Kunari are. And then I talk to you.
Yep. Still, it's more fun here. Fewer rituals, more making it up as you go along. Plus, you folk have redheads. Redheads.
What's it like growing up under the Qun?
The Tamasrans raise us in these units of kids all our own age. They're like teachers, or chantry sisters. They also help figure out what jobs we should do. They had me pegged for military work early on. When they learned I could hit stuff and lie, they started training me for the Ben Hasra.
Must have been a good day for you.
Yes, it's like being a block of stone with a sculptor working on you. One day, the last of the crap gets knocked off, and you can see your real shape. What you're supposed to be. That's a good day.
How is everyday life different for Kunari?
Depends on your job, I guess. Some are just about the same. A baker in Val Royeaux gets up, gets dressed, and starts work. A baker in Parvolan does the same thing. They don't care about the Empire or the Qun. Mostly they worry about breaking eggs and hope the dough rises right.
It can't be exactly the same. The Kunari have no personal freedoms.
How many personal freedoms do you figure that baker in Val Royeaux has? Life isn't about freedom. The baker in Parvolan wonders if she'll be given enough eggs to do her work. Will they come on time? Will the kitchen workers get her bread while it's fresh, or will they come late and blame her 'cause it's stale? Same crap in Val Royeaux. People are just people.
Do you ever think about what would happen if the Kunari conquered Orlais or Ferelden?
Some folks, like Cassandra or Cullen, would do fine if they didn't die fighting. Those two love rules. But the mages... Vivienne's too political. Dorian's too arrogant, and Solus is just... weird. They'd all end up dead. Or worse. Both Sarah and Varric would mouth off until they ended up re-educated. Drugged until their minds broke. So, to answer your question, no. I don't think about it much at all.
The word Kunari, is that the race or the religion?
Both. Kind of. The humans and elves who follow the Qun are the Vidathari. The Kunari who break away from the Qun are Talvashar, deserters.
What about Kunari who existed before the Qun?
The people we came from. They're called the Kossith, but we don't use that word for the race. We came south to Thedas because the Kossith were... I don't know. We had to leave. The stories aren't clear. But I don't expect they look much like us. Whatever they are.
See you later, Bull.
Nice talking with you, boss.
Good day. It's good to see you.
I'm running drills. They're drinking. Of course. And paid better.
An insult to real soldiers. Is that what they want the faithful to see?
This wouldn't have happened under the Arl. Pride in the jaw. That's what's missing.
The Arl was an arse.
What did I tell
I
you?
was with the band.
We all did. It's like I don't know you.
It's good to see you.
I hope I can help somehow. Maybe cleaning? Oh, Inquisitor, I joined. Sutherland, your worship. I saw some bandits, so I came to warn people. I'll let your warriors know and then stay out of the way.
Anything we can do, just ask.
Thank you.
Could be better.
Very well. Oh, what do you want?
Just rumors.
I see.
Hey you, I have an Inquisitor favor to ask. Just a little thing, really. A little march around for some of your people. It's nothing for you, right?
All right, let's hear what you've got.
Jump right in, huh? I like that. It's a Red Jenny thing. I got a tip that some noble stiffs are arguing over Vershel. Land squabble. They're getting little people beat up, so I need you to go to your big table and send some people to walk through town.
Just walk through.
Just walk through. Easy, right?
Was this a tip from one of your friends?
Not a Jenny. Just normal angry people getting sick of being in the middle. I don't usually hear about things this far away, but having a friend like you is like getting really big ears. Bigger ears, I guess. Shut up.
Who's asking for this?
I'm asking, because I heard people complaining. See, when nobles fight, it's not them, it's their little people stuck in the middle. It's like a polite war, so no one pays attention. But if you march through, the people up top feel threatened too. Stuff like this is always happening. Good sovereigns to be made if you're one of the few who notice.
What does the Inquisition get out of this?
Nobles think everyone is out to get them. So when your helmets march through, both sides will think the other's your ally. Both get scared, both make deals. Worst case, you get a little bump among the people just because they see you active. Can't promise anything, but something will happen. Just like always.
All right, Sarah. I'll have someone look into it.
It's fun, right? Being important without doing a thing. Well, not much of a thing. Not everything has to be torn skies and ancient arseholes. Every little thing makes a difference somewhere.
I'm pleased to hear it.
Maker, I hope it's not me.
Of course.
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor? Is there something I can do for you? I should really focus my attention on the injured.
Do we have many injured men?
Fewer by the day. Most grievously injured did not survive the journey to Skyhold. As for the rest, they either heal or... I try to make the passing painless.
I haven't seen you before.
The commander brought me up from the refugee camps. I've been helping the pilgrims in simple ways. Setting broken bones, simple amputations and such. We need all the help we can get.
You want a mage? Shouldn't we let the mage healers deal with this?
Magic can't cure everything, and we shouldn't rely on it. Science, your worship, is the way of the future. Good health isn't magic, it's diet, exercise, and a balance of the humors.
As you were.
Your worship.
The order was sent?
Yes, Commander.
Send men to scout the area. We need to know what's out there.
Yes, sir.
Commander, soldiers have been assigned temporary quarters.
Very good. I'll need an update on the armory as well. Now! We set up as best we could at Haven, but could never prepare for an archdemon, or whatever it was. With some warning, we might have...
Do you ever sleep?
If Corypheus strikes again, we may not be able to withdraw. And I wouldn't want to. We must be ready. Work on Skyhold is underway. Guard rotations established. We should have everything on course within the week. We will not run from here, Inquisitor.
How many were lost?
Most of our people made it to Skyhold. It could have been worse. Morale was low, but has improved greatly since you accepted the role of Inquisitor.
Everyone has so much faith in my leadership. I hope I'm ready.
You won't have to carry the Inquisition alone, although it must feel like it. We needed a leader, and you have proven yourself.
You responded quickly to the attack on Haven. Without that, so many more would have died. I'm grateful for any help you can give.
Thank you, Inquisitor. I will do everything I can to ensure the security of our people. You have my word.
I don't need you, sister.
You're carrying a heavy burden for one so young.
I'll carry it back to Crestwood and kill those bandits. That's what Father would have wanted.
He'd want you to live a good life.
He's dead. You didn't know him.
Our mounts have never had better.
Feels good to be back at work, Inquisition. And lucky you have me. Mountain air like this, not healthy for many animals. But I'll make do with your little fortress.
Heard anything worth noting?
Too busy to hear things, and that's how I like it.
Are your wife and daughter doing well?
Elena's minding the farms. Sienna's still running her full races. Wouldn't be fair to drag them up here. I miss them. But someone has to save the world.
How are your charges? Well supplied?
Surprisingly well. Not many could feed these people, let alone their mounts. Makes me wonder what you're capable of.
Farewell.
May her be with you.
At your service.
Varric's friend Hawk said there were suspicions of corruption in Grey Warden ranks. Do you know anything about that?
Corruption? What sort of corruption?
Corypheus. He's been known to influence the minds of Wardens.
That could very well explain why so many have disappeared.
Are you feeling all right? No voices or anything?
If I start hearing things, I promise you'll be the first to know.
How much do you know about Corypheus?
Not much. I always thought the stories of Magisters corrupting the Golden City were just that, stories. I didn't expect them to be true, and I certainly didn't expect to find one of them still alive.
Corypheus stopped being human a long time ago. Darkspawn don't have human lifespans, do they?
No, I suppose they don't. They're unnatural and sustained by evil. It's been thousands of years. You'd think the Wardens would have managed to kill the first Darkspawn by now.
Do you know if there are more Darkspawn like Corypheus?
I don't know. I'm not sure any Warden knows.
Don't the Grey Wardens know everything about Darkspawn?
You don't have to know how a Darkspawn came to be in order to kill it. We're soldiers, not historians. And the world would be better off if people focused on defeating evil rather than explaining how it came to be.
Let's discuss something else. Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Ah, the Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem.
How do the Wardens deal with archdemons?
Short answer. Stick it with swords until it stops moving.
Wardens are in all the stories. If it was that easy, anyone could do it.
No, it really is that simple. Just because the archdemon is magic doesn't mean it can't be killed with swords. It just has to be a Grey Warden sword. Look, it's not the killing blow that's the problem. It's getting the dragon to the point where it's vulnerable, where it actually can be killed. There's no short answer for that, I'm afraid.
You haven't had contact with other Wardens for a while. Why were you on your own?
It's what I've always done. Recruitment only requires one man. Besides, I've always been a loner. Works best for everyone that way.
Have you been hearing the calling too?
I know what Corypheus is. He has no sway over me.
The Blight's been over for 10 years. What do Wardens do when the world's not ending?
There are still Darkspawn. Just because we killed so many in Ferelden doesn't mean they're gone. And the world is not so peaceful that there's no use for good men with swords. Sometimes you have to figure out for yourself what the pledge to protect others really means. It's not always about just archdemons and blights.
Where were you during the Blight?
I was in Ferelden, on my own, like always. Quietly killed my fair share of Darkspawn too.
Let's continue this at another time.
As you wish. I'll be here if you need me. I'm here.
I want to hear more about you.
Compared to yours, my life will seem dull indeed.
Your name, Blackwall, doesn't sound Orlesian. Marcher, then? Ferelden?
I was from the Free Marchers originally. Markham. That was a long time ago. Another life.
I hear that many Wardens were once criminals.
You're right. And when you join, your past is forgotten, so let's leave it that way.
What did you do before you became a Warden?
I was a soldier, a nobody trained to wield a sword and follow orders. I grew weary of fighting other men's wars.
So you became a Warden?
More or less. Becoming a Grey Warden was the first time I felt like I mattered. The life I led before seems hollow in comparison. Perhaps one day it will fade away.
Why did you join the Wardens?
Because they remember honor and sacrifice. Words that have little meaning to the rest of us. Because they lay down their lives for those they have sworn to protect. We all need to believe there are such men in the world. I needed to believe I could be one of them.
We can continue this discussion at another time.
Very well.
Inquisition? That'll do fine. That'll do fine.
Lord Inquisitor, Bonnie Sims at your service. I trust good secret was not too coarse. Now that you've come to some good fortune, you deserve an upgrade. As master of the tradesman, I stand ready to supply your every need.
How are you doing? Good business?
Building? Always building, thanks to you.
Who or what are the tradesmen?
A following of sympathetic and profit-minded individuals who promote local craftsmen and fair importers. A guild of sorts. Although that implies counter-affiliations we are not interested in crossing. Our purpose in the Inquisition is legitimate and honorable. You will have what you need at honest prices.
What do you bring to the Inquisition?
What you need, and more. It takes great coordination to make a remote location seem central. While there is no doubt the boutiques of Valroyo display the grandest of the grand, they do not travel. At least, not yet.
It's a shame Segrid didn't survive Haven.
It is, but one must continue.
That's it?
He was a shrewd man, but he was none too pleasant. It was time arrangements were made. I shall make every effort to prove that this is an upgrade.
Why are you a mere merchant if you're the master of this group?
I wish to avoid the suggestion that I am a posturing commander atop a structure of malcontents. It is better to remain active, hands-on. Do you not agree, Inquisitor?
We'll speak another time.
Certainly, Lord Inquisitor.
Yes? Is there anything I should know?
Repairs to Skyhold's fortifications are progressing. Our scouts report no immediate threats in the surrounding area. We are fortunate Solus knew of this place.
That's all for now.
Another time, then.
This thing is not a stray puppy you can make into a pet. It has no business being here.
Wouldn't you say the same of an apostate?
Inquisitor, I wondered if Cole was perhaps a mage. given his unusual abilities.
He can cause people to forget him, or even fail entirely to notice him. These are not the abilities of a mage. It seems that Cole is a spirit.
It is a demon.
If you prefer, although the truth is somewhat more complex.
Cole warned us about Corypheus at Haven. He saved a lot of lives.
And what will its help cost? How many lives will this demon later claim?
In fact, his nature is not so easily defined.
Speak plainly, Solas. What are we dealing with?
Demons normally enter this world by possessing something. In their true form, they look bizarre, monstrous.
But you claim Cole looks like a young man. Is it possession?
No. He has possessed nothing and no one. And yet he appears human in all respects. Cole is unique, Inquisitor. More than that, he wishes to help. I suggest you allow him to do so.
In my studies, demons either possess something from this world, or were summoned and bound. They almost never look like something you'd mistake for a person.
Normally you'd be correct. But Cole has willfully manifested in human form without possessing anyone.
The demons who came through the breach, or through the rifts, weren't possessing anything.
These demons were drawn through against their will, driven mad by this world. But Cole predates the breach. From what we can tell, he has lived here for months, perhaps years. He looks like a young man. For all intents and purposes, he is a young man. It is remarkable.
I should hear what Cole has to say for himself. Where is he now?
If none of us remember him, he could be anywhere.
Haven. So many soldiers fought to protect the pilgrims so they could escape. Choking fear. Can't think from the medicine, but the cuts rack me with every heartbeat. Hot, white pain. Everything burns. I can't. I'm going to... I'm dying. I'm... dead.
You're feeling their pain.
It's louder this close, with so many of them.
Would you like to go somewhere more comfortable?
Yes, but here is where I can help. Every breath slower, like lying in a warm bath, sliding away. Smell of my daughter's hair when I kiss her goodnight. Gone. Cracked brown pain, dry, scraping, thirsty. Here.
Thank you.
It's all right. She won't remember me.
Solas tried to explain what you are, but honestly, I stopped listening after a while. Any chance you could explain it?
Yes. I used to think I was a ghost. I didn't know. I made mistakes, but I made friends too. Then a Templar proved I wasn't real. I lost my friends. I lost everything. I learned how to be more like what I am. It made me different, but stronger. I can feel more. I can help.
If you're willing, the Inquisition could use your help.
Yes, helping. I help the hurt, the helpless. There's someone. Hurts It hurts. It hurts. Someone make it stop hurting. Make her, please. The healers have done all they can. It will take him hours to die. Every moment will be agony. He wants mercy. Help.
You say he won't die for hours yet, but you can't know that for certain.
His body is failing.
He could recover. Or the healers could find another way to help him.
How do you know?
I don't. And neither do you. That's part of life.
Try. I want to stay.
Somewhat off-color today, Inquisitor? An excess of bile, perhaps. Might I bleed you, or offer a herbal tonic? Try not to touch the leeches. They are quite delicate.
Was there something you needed?
What do you think of the people you work with?
Who do you mean?
What do you think of our ambassador?
We have little in common. How she delights in meeting with nobles all day is beyond me. But I enjoy working with her.
How do you like working with Leliana?
The Inquisition would not exist without her. I may not always agree with her methods, but she's more passionate about our cause than anyone. Cassandra may have declared the Inquisition publicly, but Liliana is just as responsible for its formation.
Are you satisfied with the Inquisition's forces?
Our soldiers are well disciplined and committed to the cause. Templars and mages are not used to seeing each other as allies, but they are working together well enough thus far.
I should let you get back to work.